Good morning. In 1955, Rosa Parks had had enough. Tired of sitting in the back of the bus, she sat down in the front, the section reserved for white people. She was told to move to the place where she belonged. But as you know, she refused to move, was arrested, and history was challenged and changed as a result. Historians portray Rosa as a tired woman, tired of being denied equality, tired of being treated differently, tired of being excluded from society as a whole just because of the color of her skin. In refusing to move, Rosa made it clear that she was already where she belonged, on the bus, in a seat, just like everyone else. On behalf of the Department of Education, the Office of Special Education, and the Indiana IEP Resource Center, I'm delighted to welcome you to Indiana's 5th Annual Focus on Inclusion Conference. As many of you probably know, the IEP Resource Center delivers training and provides support for the statewide tool used to develop and monitor a student's individualized education program online. But the center does far more than support the system and train people to use it. The IEPRC also creates resource materials and provides professional development, both locally and statewide, to improve the IEP process in schools and to support Article 7 compliance. This inclusion conference, sponsored by the IEP Resource Center, is, in my opinion, one of the most important and impactful statewide professional development opportunities that is offered in Indiana. And I'm grateful to the Center for continuing this outstanding tradition. I ask you to join me in thanking them for their commitment to planning and sponsoring this event. You can see by looking around that it's not very popular. The presenters that will be addressing you over the next 2 days are some of the best and brightest in the field of education. George Batch could pack a room like this all by himself. Add the intensive sessions later today, Dr. Paula Kluth as the keynote tomorrow, and the multitude of concurrent sessions that follow, and you can't possibly leave here without feeling enthused and committed and good about what you do or hope to do in your schools. I'm especially pleased to be welcoming you to this particular event because I am passionate about inclusion and the importance of adopting an inclusive philosophy in schools. As the Rosa Parks story reminds us, we have struggled as a society to embrace individual differences, to provide equal opportunities, and to accept the notion of universal oneness and interdependence. The belief in the value and potential of all human beings is the basis of an inclusive school. And today, in this age of racial unrest and radical extremism, it is imperative that students are taught in environments where tolerance is expected and diversity is welcome. You know, we started the inclusion conversation years ago, even prior to the passage of Public Law 94-142, which occurred 20 years after Rosa Parks took the seat on the bus. Originally, it was enough just to deinstitutionalize students with disabilities. The push for mainstreaming in the 70s and the Regular Education Initiative of the 80s nudged schools to place students with disabilities in classrooms and buildings with their same-age peers. But it wasn't until the late 90s that the term inclusion was actually used to describe the practice of integrating students with disabilities into schools and classrooms in meaningful ways. Unfortunately, the term inclusion got lost in the sea of special ed jargon. We began referring to schools as full inclusion schools, partial inclusion schools. Inclusion kids went to these schools in inclusion classes or in the inclusion wing down the hall. So what does this mean exactly? Only sections of the building are okay for inclusion? Only particular classrooms are welcoming for all students? Only certain kids are eligible to go in there? Some practitioners believe that inclusion meant all students with disabilities were supposed to be in general ed classes all day long, no matter if the education was meaningful or not. Luckily, in schools today, we are moving away from the misleading use of the term and embracing it instead as a school-wide philosophy, a way of life, a belief system that celebrates and values the uniqueness of all individuals, no matter how different are their needs or how challenging they may be. Today and tomorrow, you will be in the presence of inclusion champions. George will define what is special about special education and what special education looks like, especially in light of the Dear Colleague letter that was issued from the U.S. Office of Special Education in November. Paula will offer a distinction between doing inclusion and being inclusive, and then the intensives and concurrent sessions will provide the evidence-based practice that you need to serve all students successfully. If you have not seen the November Dear Colleague letter, it's worth taking a look at. It's posted on the Learning Connections in the Special Ed Administrator community. It's also on our website and on the OSEP website, and I'm sure George will be referring to it today. The basis of the letter comes from the overwhelming research that demonstrates that children with disabilities who struggle in reading and math can successfully learn grade-level content and make significant academic progress when appropriate instructions, services, and supports are provided. Although many schools in Indiana have put amazing systems in place that prove that high expectations yield high performance, there are still just as many that have not. In those schools, we are still battling just for access to the general ed setting, places where kids have a right to be, much like Rosa Parks on the bus. Before I close, I want to tell you a quick story about a young man who was enrolled in one of our Indiana high schools last year. He had a significant disability. A year ago, he found himself sitting outside the principal's office instead of in the classroom most of the time, because he was not provided with the appropriate supplementary aids and supports to access the general ed curriculum. He was quoted as saying, "I used to be angry a lot. I got bad grades, a lot of Fs, and I didn't want to listen to anybody." He spent a full semester this way. His father was his strongest advocate. After exhausting all of his options locally, he filed a complaint with our office, and as a result, the young man was placed in general ed classes with appropriate supports. He took a particular liking to his science class, and his teacher encouraged him to enter the science fair. To make a long story short, he designed a helicopter blade that won awards not only at the school level, at the regional level, within the community, but allowed him to attend the national competition as well. This all happened within 1 year. It's a wonderful story. It's also bittersweet, to say the least. He is obviously a very talented young man, but because the school did not provide what he needed, expectations were automatically lowered, and without his father's advocacy, he may have continued that way. He may have continued to miss out on an education that he had a right to receive, and he may never have achieved the success that he experienced. So, in closing, my hopes for all of you over the next 2 days is that you leave with this young man and Rosa Parks in mind. Remember, even though they had distinct differences from other folks, they had a right to the same opportunities as everyone else. I hope these next 2 days help you feel confident in embracing all students' abilities and talents and skills. I hope you continue promoting high expectations for all students, and I hope you rededicate your career to making the right choices, not always the easiest choices, for all students. I know the next 2 days will give you the knowledge and the tools and the inspiration you need to accept this challenge. I hope you do. Again, welcome. Thank you so much for coming. Soak it all in. These opportunities don't come along very often. Thank you.